Hello, everybody. Good evening. I am on here. I'm testing out my new vlog stand that I got for my birthday. So it's lighting, it's everything. I really like it. So I hope the sound is good and clear for you guys. But I'm back. I'm back here to read chapter 1 of He Chose Me. It's probably reading backwards, but it's called He Chose Me. Um, this is the first book that I have written. And I decided I wanted to come on here to go through the book with chapters so that we can have some conversation and dialogue around it and a little bit of discussion for people who actually views the videos and the lives that come on here for it. I wrote this book last year in I published it. I'm not going to say I wrote it. It was published in 2024. But I've been writing it since 2016. So I finally finished and got it published and stuff. I just turned 49. My birthday was January the 16th. So I decided that I'm going to read my own book because I wanted to do 49 things that I have never done before for my 49th year. Not just my 49th birthday, but on the day, but the year. So there's going to be some different things I do. And one of those things is reading 49 books. And so why not include my book in one of those 49 books? Because we all know that writing it is not the same as actually reading it. So I decided I'm going to join my readers and read it too. And we can have some conversation around it, some transparency around it, also to talk about some of the situations and stuff that may have occurred in it that I can give you guys some kind of feedback. And I hope that it encourages you. I hope that it inspires you. And I also hope that you will be able to get a little bit of healing maybe from it, some inspiration from it. Also, buy the book. Buy the book. It may be someone else you may think that need it. Buy it for someone else. Buy it for a friend. Buy it for a family member. Buy it for one of your young adult children or nieces. It is a very good book for that. Because this book is about the journey for me on my relationship with God and knowing my worth and just knowing who I am as a woman and a woman of God. And um, yeah, so I'm ready to get started. So we read the introduction the last time I was on here. So right now I'm going to dive into the first chapter. I do not want to promise you that I'm going to read the entire first chapter tonight because sometimes we just have to stop somewhere and just start talking about it. So if we have to do that, that's what we'll do. So I'm not going to rush through the chapters in one read. Sometimes we're going to sit down and we're going to break a few things down or a little topic or something that we can pull out of the chapter before we get to the end of it. So I hope you are ready to join it with me and enjoy. And I'm going to, I don't see any viewers on here right now, so I don't really have to worry about coming, doing any kind of answering any questions or anything like that. But I do come back in and answer the questions if I get comments and stuff. So chapter 1 is titled My First Love, A Bond Forever. And with each chapter, I gave a scripture to them because I think that this all goes in hand with my relationship with God. And so I want to add the scriptures and stuff that inspired the chapter and the topic around the chapter. And so the scripture for this chapter was Romans 12:10, and I got it out of the NIV version. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. So it's not just talking about we honoring others, but it's also honoring ourselves and how much we honor one another. I think if we honor people the way we honor ourselves, then we give them good love. But if we don't, then we don't. And I also think that if we don't honor ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, then how can we give that to others? And so that's what this chapter talks about. Your first experience of something is not always easy. But there is another side to it that's so amazing. Like when you were young and you get your first goldfish, kitten, or puppy, they capture your heart. When you have your first child or grandchild, that experience of love is like no other. It can't be explained, right? What about the experience with your mother? People try to explain this love by saying you only get one. That is not the explanation for it for me. My experience. That's not the explanation for it. So I will say that when someone says to me, oh yeah, you only get one mother, honor your mother and your father, you only get one. That message is a little bit just a cliche for me. I don't subscribe to it simply because while the reality is you do only get one mother and one father. The people who birthed you, who conceived you, you get only one. But it's hard to honor someone you don't know. You can't honor someone you don't know. Say like if you were adopted and you never met your parents, you can't honor someone you don't know. How do you honor someone who abuse you or bring harm to you? How do you honor someone like that? So I have a lot of reserve around the honor thing to your parents. It's a love that you can't imagine yourself without. I have been longing for this love for 28 years. That's how long ago I wrote the book. Yeah, I started early, very, very young. And so, yeah, it is a love that you can't imagine yourself without. But then when you are without it, you got to say, I don't know how I'm without it. And then you say things like, I could never imagine me not giving my children the love from me. At one point, I experienced this love, but after a while, something happened. It was only for a season. It was a part of my journey that would contribute to my walk with God, to God's will. At a young age, I felt rejected, abandoned, and unloved. I was unhappy, and I didn't understand. I didn't know how to process or express it. I was baptized at 12 years old because that was the tradition in the Christian church. I didn't understand that either. I thought I was drowning in a big pool of cold water. I didn't know it would draw me closer to my spiritual father. I didn't know I needed this connection to heal from the hurt I endured and the hurt that would come later. So understanding I did experience a mother's love and a father's love. I did. I experienced that. But then over time, it changed. The love that you get from your parents, that changed for me. And so explaining about getting baptized at 12 years old, nobody explained that to me. Nobody told me why I had to do it and what it meant. It was just a tradition in my family that when you turn 12, you have to get baptized. It's kind of like you got to give yourself back to God. But I didn't know who God was, and nobody explained it to me. It was just, this is what the rule is, like, kind of. And so when you find out that the love that you experience from the very beginning changes and it's not the same, and nobody explains to you that it can change or it will change, it's like, oh my God, what I'm supposed to do? And why is this happening to me? And I don't understand. And then you're going through all these different experiences and changes, and then find out the reason you're going through these things is because of some stuff that is not in your life that you think is supposed to be here. Growing up, I became an example of how hurt people hurt people. I was angry. I fought my siblings because they would get the love I desired. I was always fighting, y'all. I wasn't always a good friend because I didn't know how to be a friend. I only knew what I knew. I searched for love because the love I had wasn't the love I wanted. I'm going to say that again. I searched for love because the love I had wasn't the love I wanted. So, while God didn't forsake me, there was the love from God there because clearly I wasn't forsaken because I had a family, I had a home, I had people who loved me. But it wasn't the love I wanted. It wasn't the love I craved. It wasn't the love I desired. At 14, I thought I was in love. To complete that, I thought I should have a baby. How many of y'all get with somebody and think you should have a baby and that is going to make everything be the most amazing thing ever, right? We all know that when you get grown, babies is not going to make it better. I would finally have someone to love me and love them like like the love I desired. So that was where the whole wanting a baby came from. It really wasn't about, I want to have this baby with someone that I love. It was more so about, I want to have a baby so that I can give the baby the love that I wanted and didn't get. God said, nope, not yet. It didn't stop there though. I continued to search for this love. The love I once knew would see me and not speak to me. I never understood why, and my family and therapy couldn't help me understand. And the reason why they couldn't help me understand is because I didn't even know how to explain it to them and tell them what was wrong. They knew I was hurt. I knew I was hurt. I was very hurt, but I couldn't get, nobody couldn't explain to me anything. It was just always prayer and therapy. Go to prayer, go to therapy. But if you go to a therapist every day and say, I'm upset because my parents won't talk to me or spend time with me or tell me they love me or whatever, what is the therapist going to tell you after a while? What are they going to tell you the first time, the second time? What are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you just what I just, God will never forsake you. You got people who truly love you, blah, blah, blah. That is not what you want to hear when the one thing you desire is all you want. Now that I'm older, though, and have children, I can justify and rationalize to understand, but I just don't get it. I know the mental illness is real. And so I don't get it. I can't tell you I do. I'm going to be transparent and honest with you. I don't get it because as a mother, I love my children. I have 2 sons and I love my children. And I can't imagine not loving them. And I mean, I've been through some things with my children. I've been through some things, but I cannot imagine not loving them. Like, no matter what we went through, I continue to love them and continue to love them. It didn't stop. It didn't change. I can't, the not talking to them, not seeing them, none of that stuff. No matter what we go through, I never felt like I'm never going to talk to my kids again, or I'm never going to see them again. I don't want to talk to them again. I don't want to see them again. I've never, ever, ever had that experience, and I can't imagine having it. So I can tell you different reasons. I can rationalize, oh, well, it happened because of this, and I can justify it and say, well, but I cannot understand it. All I can say is that mental illness is real. And mental illness is real when you sit back and say, such and such is okay to do, or I'm okay with doing that, or I can sleep at night because of that. And it's just not the typical thing to do, especially when it's not showing love. I know we don't always heal from things sometimes. Hurt is embedded so deep that it will take surgery to cut it out. Surgery that only God can perform, not a doctor. With the busy life and microwave mindset we carry, it's hard to get the presence of God for just a moment of silence. So how can we make time to get the surgery we need to heal and find that love that we so desire? So I'm going to tell you how I did. Of course, all the years and years of therapy I got, that was how I did lots of therapy until I eventually got the right one. But then also lots of prayer. You need a lot of prayer. You do. Because it's going to be some days. So you do need a lot of prayer. And then when you finally get to that place in therapy and you finally get to that place with God where you just like, okay, all right, I accept it. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do to change it. But you're going to go through a lot of crying. You're going to go through a lot of anger. You're going to go through a lot of things before you get to that place where you can finally say, all right, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to heal, because stuff will trigger you and upset you, all types of things. But then you'll finally say, all right, I'm ready to heal from this. It definitely takes surgery. We block out memories and suppress the pain they cause, saying things like, I know I should never question God. Some things aren't meant to be understood. Just pray about it. I allow the love to settle in my heart and marinate, because one thing I am sure of is the love of God. So for me, I always kept hope. And that was the love that settled in me and marinated, was the hope. The hope that because God is love, that this is going to change, and it's going to change for the better, and I'm going to have my heart's desire. So that's what it would be with me love settling with my love and me. That's what that means for me. And I'm not okay with some things just aren't just meant to understand. I'm not okay with that. Nope. Guys, me and you gonna have a conversation and you gonna help me understand God, because no, I'm not gonna just let it go like that. You ain't bring me here to let me down and leave me figuring it out for myself. So yes, I asked God, if God knew me before I was conceived, why can't I ask? Why can't I say, God, why me? A lot of times they say you should never question God. How can I live my entire life being afraid to ask and not knowing and accepting that as an answer? Yet I am called to be whole. God had to give me something, especially if he chose me. God said, why not you? So that was the answer I got. Why not you? Why not you? Now, what you supposed to do with that? How you unpack why not you? When God just said that's the answer. He didn't say because you won't get a better mother. He didn't say because even though you didn't get a mother, I'm going to make you rich. He didn't say none of that. He just said, why not you? So what made me stand out from the world that I'm not exempt from experiencing this so that I can get closer to him? Now, you all know that saying, never ask a question with a question, right? But I had to keep listening. God said, I would need a certain kind of woman to be able to walk this path. A woman who would learn how to fight physically, and one day I could tap into you and teach her how to heal herself so she could help others heal. In all you endure, you will see my miracles again and again. You will learn submission, long suffering, and understanding. Most importantly, you will witness me, not forsake you. Imagine that. That was the answer. I needed to know more because I was just like, what? What you mean? Why not me? I had to know more. I had to, especially if he chose me. So it's no way you're not going to tell me more. And baby, when I tell you I learned how to fight physically, I learned how to fight physically. And I was always crying and scary, but I learned how to fight physically. And yet all these years I do, even indirectly, I teach people what I've been through and how to endure things, and they learn too how to heal from stuff. The long suffering is long suffering. Do you hear me? It is long suffering. Submission, you get a beat down to that. You'll get a beat down to that. But we're going to go in that later on. There is no greater love. There is no greater love than one that will never forsake you. This kind of love prevents me from letting go of this forever bond. I don't know if I'm gonna ever be able to do an audio because if I do an audio, they're gonna be like, take 1, take 10. So y'all, cause y'all hear me just all over the place with this, but y'all gonna get it with me. There's an attachment that will never separate us, no matter how distant the mind and body may be. Soulmates are forever. Soulmates is a bond forever. I tell y'all, me and God gotta be soulmates. We have to be, because there's no way I'm getting through life without God being my soulmate. Although others are, but God is definitely my soulmate. And so I am very grateful that, you know, I was introduced to God, but I'm also grateful that at some point I was able to spiritually connect with God on my own terms. A lot of people don't have that. Religion is not the same as relationship. So we're going to talk a little bit about these soulmates. Because a lot of people think your husband is your soulmate or your wife is your soulmate. I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm also going to say that that is not the only soulmate you'll have. Because like I said, God has to be your soulmate. But that's it. I was reading an article that explained soulmate to me as different from being a male or female friend. It said it's someone you can't walk away from easily. My first love is a bond that will always be in my soul. I often wonder, if we are soulmates, how could such a disconnect happen? I thought God would never answer that question for me. So initially, for me, my soulmate had to be my mom. It had to be. Because I never want to detach from her. I just never, I don't know how people do stuff like that, but I never want to detach from her. And I'm saying wanna because I'm saying that in the present tense. I have the answer and it's healing, but I still don't understand how it's possible. It's hard for me to let my son sleep over at someone's house. When my oldest decided to move out, that wasn't a happy occasion for me. I cried until it hurt. This bond is strong because my soul hangs on to it. You may read this and think, it sounds like a stronghold to me. Nope. It's not because I never force my way in. I don't do that. I don't intrude. I don't say you can't. I don't hold you prisoner or anything or try to keep you from doing it. I submit to God's will. People say you only get one or pray about it. It's hard to find someone who can relate. It's very hard. Because even people who don't have a relationship with their parents and stuff, they still, to me, can't relate to this feeling that I had. I don't hear them, or they just don't talk about it. A lot of times people don't share. While there is clarity on what I can't control, it is a lifelong void. It's not the same as being adopted and never knowing your soulmate. It's not the same as your loved one dying and you never had the chance. You are stuck in limbo, left to deal with it. So that's also why. So like, if your parent died, you might be able to say, yeah, I know what it's like because you don't have your mom in your life or your dad or whatever. People may say that, but if your parent died, that is out of your control totally. And although what I'm going through is out of my control, it is still, they're still present. They're still on this earth. And so for me, I feel like, why do I have to deal with that kind of void? You know, because I was able to feel them. I was able to feel my parents and feel the love. So for me, it's a different kind of void than someone who was adopted and never met their parents, or someone who parents passed on, you know. I'm still part flesh. So sometimes I get in my feelings. Because a lot of times you think when you heal, just because you're healed, you're not going to feel. I feel. So let me tell y'all, I had a birthday. Like I told you, I had a birthday on the 16th. So I celebrated my birthday on Sunday, yesterday. Because today is Sunday too. So I celebrated my birthday yesterday. And on the day of my birthday, I was feeling some type of way. I was feeling some type of way. But let me tell you how it went. So when our parents say I love you, or just anybody, when people say I love you, or happy birthday to you or whatever, and they really, really don't deal with you like that, or you don't never talk to them, but then they come back and come out of the blue and say happy birthday to you, it's like, why would you say happy birthday to me when you don't never talk to me? You don't mess with me like that, and you feel some type of way about them not messing with you like that. But then when they don't say happy birthday to you, even though they don't talk to you, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they don't say happy birthday to me this year. So I was in my feelings like, dang, now it went from not talking to me and saying happy birthday every year to now you're not even saying happy birthday to me. So that one little piece of what I felt like was a connect is now no longer a connect. So it's just like, dang. And so, when you're talking about what you're grateful for, it would be easy for me to say, you know what? I feel some type of way because she don't never talk to me. Who is she? And then she got a nerve to say happy birthday to me. Versus, I'm grateful that I got the happy birthday. At least I got that, because at least I know I'm still on her mind. You know what I mean? You got to think about what you're grateful for, and you got to think about when you're being ungrateful. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit more. Let me see where I was. Okay. So God will show me that my children and I will always be fine. So who I am, I get to who I am, who am I to get into my feelings? So let me read that again. God will show me that my children and I will always be fine. So who am I to get in my feelings? This experience feels like a punishment, like I did something wrong. It feels like the biggest mistake of me was being born. So imagine that. Like when parents get divorced, the kids blame themselves and they feel some type of way. Imagine you feeling like, well, am I being punished for being born? Because why is my parents like this? And I want to do a little clarity and disclaimer too. Like, I do have to talk to my dad. I do talk to my dad. We don't have a really good relationship, so to speak, too much, but we do talk. And I can call him and he will answer. But my mom, not so much. It's one of the deepest wounds of rejection and abandonment that has a stronghold in my life. So the stronghold is not holding on to someone. The stronghold is more so not being able to handle the rejection and the abandonment and stuff that comes with it. That part is a stronghold. It keeps a stronghold on you. I am, after a therapy session I had last year, I've been doing really well, but I'm also making sure that I am in tune with my feelings and able to process how I feel and feel. Because a lot of times people just don't feel, and it's not fair for you to not feel. Um, the bond is one with the soulmate. The flesh is me having a stronghold on rejection and abandonment. I just won't let them go. Someone Someone on the outside looking in will say, just call or just visit. But taking those chances gets pushed in deeper and deeper and wiggled around, causing a pain that if I let it can kill me. Because when you constantly push into someone or go after someone or try to press a relationship with someone that they don't want and they don't want it, all you're doing is hurting yourself even more. That's it. You just be hurting yourself even more. And this happens, you'll find yourself, you pay attention to this kind of behavior because you can find yourself doing this with other people in other relationships. You can have friendships and stuff, family members. It could be a person that you're dealing with intimately or whatever. You will find yourself holding on to them and trying to keep the relationship going when it's not supposed to go. It's supposed to dissolve. But because of abandonment and rejection having a stronghold over your life, you will keep on holding on to that person, trying to find ways to let them stay or make sure they stay, and they really don't want to. So yeah, having a stronghold on abandonment and rejection, that's something else. I face what feels like I'm not welcomed, wanted, or needed. I know this. I know that as a soul. I know this as a soulmate because my first connection with love is this. We started there, but never had a spiritual connection to keep the bond together. So my soul won't let go, especially as a mother. It's a large part of who I am. So if I'm a mom and I feel this kind of love connection to my children, how can I let go of a love connection like this to my own mother when I feel it? I know what it feels like. Yet this other piece is incomplete. I can see her when I look in the mirror and smile, hear her when I laugh, and remember her when my name is called. I am left to wonder whether I mourn the living, let the pain of rejection and abandonment eat me alive, or accept what God has allowed, holding on to the memories. I often find myself mourning the living. There are situations when you know it is time to move on from a relationship, right? You find yourself mourning the living. There is a peace that comes with it. Then there are those relationships that will never get closure because you feel like it is one of those relationships that should never end, like a husband and a wife, till death do us part. Some relationships end abruptly and on bad terms that you can't resolve for whatever reason, no matter how many times you and that person try. I was told that you put people in roles. There are front rows and back rows. Most people will put their parents, children, and spouse, if they have one, in the front row, and maybe one or two close friends. I often ask myself, who is in my front row? But most importantly, I ask myself why. There are seasons in relationships. So it is the person, so is the person you put in your front row supposed to be there for a lifetime? I wonder. I'm going to say that again. There are seasons in relationships. So is the person you put in your front row supposed to be there for a lifetime? Now, we know that a person, I'm going to stop right there, but we know that a person would not be able to be there for a lifetime because everybody is promised one thing, and that's death. So they will die and go on. But if y'all had that relationship and that relationship was close and tight, then it's just going to be that y'all just going to be separated by death. But that love is going to always be there. Always be there. So can you imagine mourning the living of someone who you love, but you don't feel loved by them? And what that's like? Hard, hard, hard. The struggle is real. And so you have to learn how to accept God's will and accept what is and be okay with what was or what's not. You just have to, you just do. But your heart doesn't change, your love doesn't change. And so for me, I'm now currently in that book. These are sections that I had to put the book down because it was just hard for me to write that and then not feel that. It was very hard, so I couldn't disconnect from that feeling. For now, though, I'm here. I'm like, I've accepted what God has allowed. It is what it is. Excuse me. And I don't necessarily leave the door open with hope anymore. I just have accepted what God has allowed, and I can't do nothing about it, and I'm not in control of it. That's all. I have accepted that, and I pray. And what I do is I write letters. So if I feel like I'm in a space where it's like, Dad, you know, like when your parents die or somebody died, and you say, if I could just pick up the phone and call them. Well, what I do, since I can't pick up the phone and call, I don't, I write a letter. That's how I do it. I write a letter. I write a letter to her. I don't expect an answer. I don't mail the letter or anything, because if you mail the letter, you are expecting rejection even more. You're probably digging a more cut deeper if you don't get a response back. So I don't mail the letter. I just write the letter. And I write the letter as if like I'm sending her a letter and telling her how I'm doing and what's going on in my life and things like that. And then I'm okay, just because I was able to get it off of me. And it doesn't be, I guess because I'm more mature now, it doesn't bother me to write the letter and not be able to get a response, where I wouldn't have been able to do that years ago. I wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's where I am currently with that. I don't pick up the phone. I used to pick up the phone and call, but I stopped because not getting an answer and not getting a return call, again, it was digging the cut deep. I text and I don't get responses anymore. I used to every now and then, but I don't get responses, so I don't text now, unless I have to. Like I did text my most recent accomplishment. I wrote a children's book, so I did text that, and I didn't get a response, but it's okay, because like I said, I think I'm in a more mature place now, to where if I don't get a response, it is okay. So that's what I wanted to share with y'all today about the chapter 1, and we're going to resume. We're going to finish chapter 1 again later. I am having a procedure tomorrow, so I probably won't come back on here tomorrow, and I'm not going to come on here today, tomorrow. I'm not going to come on here every day. Maybe once a week we'll come in and unpack from the chapters and stuff, because I don't want to rush through this, you know. But I hope you enjoyed the read that you got today, and a little bit of feedback and dialogue. As we go on, I'm not going to be doing the ums and the stuttering and all that kind of stuff, because I think I'm going to get better at this. But I hope you enjoyed. And again, I will respond to any kind of conversations. If you want to get the book, you can send me a message, and I will be sure to send you a signed copy of the book. And you can also find the book on Amazon if you would like to order it that way as well. So on that note, I am going to see you all later.